Apache woman in distress yelled to rancher to let her in, then promised to satisfy him every day. The sun was slowly dipping behind the hills, casting long shadows across the dusty desert. The air was warm but carried a faint chill as evening approached. On the edge of the ranch, the gate stood tall, sturdy, and slightly worn from years of sun and wind. Inside, the rancher moved about his property, checking the fences, making sure the horses were fed and the animals had water. He was a man of habit, strong, careful, and always alert. He had lived on this land for many years, and he knew it like the back of his hand. Still, despite the calm of the evening, there was an unusual tension in the air, though he could not yet place its source. Suddenly, from the far end of the property, a voice rang out. It was loud, desperate, and carried across the dry land. The rancher froze, squinting toward the sound. "Hey, someone, please help me!" The voice was frantic, filled with fear. It was unusual to hear such cries in this remote area. The rancher's heart beat faster, a mix of concern and caution rising within him. He had learned long ago to be wary of strangers, especially in a land where danger could come from anywhere, wild animals, storms, or people with ill intentions. He walked to the gate, careful and slow, peering into the fading light. A woman stood there, a figure alone against the vast desert horizon. Her clothes were simple but practical, dust-covered and slightly torn as if she had traveled a long distance. She was leading a horse, which seemed calm but alert. The woman's eyes were wide, scanning the area behind her, filled with fear. Her hair was dark and loose, catching the wind as she turned her head to glance behind her again. The rancher felt a mixture of surprise and concern. He called out, his voice firm but calm. "Who are you?" "What's wrong?" The woman's reply came immediately, urgent and almost pleading. "Please, I don't have time to explain. Let me in, they're after me. I need shelter." Her voice shook with fear, but there was also a strength in it, a determination not to give up, no matter the danger. The rancher hesitated. He had heard stories before of travelers or strangers asking for help, and sometimes the stories ended badly. He narrowed his eyes, assessing the situation. The woman looked alone, but fear could hide many things. Yet there was something genuine in her eyes, something he could not ignore. "All right," he said finally, his voice steady. "I'll open the gate, but you'll need to tell me the truth right now." The woman nodded quickly, almost relief washing over her features. "I promise. I will tell you everything, but I need to get inside first." The rancher pushed open the heavy gate, and the woman stepped through, her horse following close behind. As she entered, the smell of dust and dry earth clung to her clothes. The rancher motioned toward the barn and the small farmhouse. "Come inside. You can rest there for a bit. Tell me what's going on when you can." She moved quickly, almost as if each step was a relief. "Thank you. I don't know how I would have made it through the night out there," she said softly. Her voice carried exhaustion and fear, but also a quiet resilience. She carefully led her horse to the corral, securing it and checking that it was all right. Once inside the house, the rancher offered her water and a simple meal. She accepted gratefully, drinking slowly, her hands trembling slightly. He watched her carefully, noting the tension in her shoulders, the quick movements of her eyes, and the way she seemed to be constantly aware of her surroundings. She was clearly on edge, yet there was a calm determination beneath it. After a moment, she spoke again. "I didn't want to trouble anyone, but I had no choice. I had to find shelter somewhere safe." Her voice was low but firm, carrying the weight of someone who had faced many hardships. The rancher nodded, understanding the unspoken words. Life in these lands was not easy, and anyone traveling alone, especially a woman, faced challenges that could be dangerous. "You're safe here," he said. "For now, just rest, then we'll figure out what comes next." For a while, there was only silence. The woman sat at the wooden table, hands wrapped around the cup of water, lost in thought. The rancher went about his chores, occasionally glancing toward her. He could sense that there was much more to her story, but she would reveal it in her own time. As the sun continued to set, painting the sky in shades of orange and pink, the rancher stepped outside to check the surroundings. The desert was quiet, but there was always the chance of danger. He walked slowly, scanning the horizon. The woman's words echoed in his mind. "They are after me." Who could be after her and why? He did not know yet, but he felt a protective instinct rising within him. Returning to the house, he found her still sitting at the table, staring into her water as if it held answers. "You're safe now," he said quietly. She looked up, her eyes meeting his, and for the first time a small, tired smile appeared on her face. It was fleeting but genuine. Then she spoke again, more seriously this time. "I know I have to earn your trust," she said. "I can't ask you to just take me in without reason. I will do whatever I can to show you that I mean no harm and that I will respect this place." The rancher felt a deep sense of respect for her courage. It was not easy to travel alone in the desert to face unknown dangers, and yet she had made it here, seeking help despite her fear. He nodded, understanding that actions often spoke louder than words. "All right," he said. "We'll take it one step at a time. You rest tonight. Tomorrow we'll talk and figure out your story." She nodded again, settling into a chair with a sigh of relief. For a moment, the tension in her body seemed to ease, though her eyes remained alert, always watching. The rancher gave her space, knowing that trust was earned, not given. Hours passed, and the desert night fell fully. The ranch was quiet, the animals settled, and the wind whispered through the nearby hills. Yet despite the calm, both the rancher and the woman remained aware of the fragility of safety. The desert could be beautiful, but it was also unforgiving, and danger could appear at any moment. She finally began to speak, her voice low and hesitant at first. "I was traveling with my family when things went wrong. We were attacked. I managed to escape, but I don't know if they will stop." Her words were filled with pain and worry, but also a quiet determination to survive. The rancher listened, offering nods of understanding. He could sense the fear in her voice, but also her strength. She was not helpless, far from it. There was a fire within her, a will to survive and protect herself, that reminded him of the resilience required to live in such harsh lands. Night deepened and the stars began to shine brightly above. The rancher checked the doors and windows, ensuring everything was secure. Then he sat across from her, giving her the space to share her story if she chose. She took a deep breath, steadying herself, and continued. "I don't know how long I can keep running. I needed to find a safe place, somewhere I could rest and think. I hoped I could find someone who would help me." Her voice carried a quiet vulnerability, but also honesty. The rancher felt a connection forming, not from words alone, but from the shared understanding of survival, courage, and trust. He had faced many challenges on the ranch, but there was something different about this moment. Here was someone who had come from fear and uncertainty, yet sought help with honesty and determination. For the first time since she arrived, the woman allowed herself to relax slightly. She looked at the rancher, her eyes filled with a mix of gratitude and hope. "Thank you for letting me in," she said softly. "I don't know what would have happened if you hadn't." The rancher nodded, feeling the weight of responsibility. "You're safe here," he replied. "For tonight at least, we'll figure out the rest together." As the night wore on, they sat in quiet, each lost in thought. The rancher thought about the dangers she faced and the trust she had placed in him. The woman thought about the safety she had found and the uncertain path ahead. Despite the tension and fear, there was a sense of connection, an understanding that they had come together at a crucial moment. Outside, the wind continued to whisper through the desert, carrying with it the sounds of night creatures and the distant call of owls. Inside, the ranch felt like a small haven, a place where courage, trust, and determination could meet. The woman sat quietly, sipping her water, while the rancher kept watch, both aware that tomorrow would bring new challenges. But for now, they had a moment of safety, a chance to breathe and plan. And in that moment, as the stars shone brightly above the quiet desert, a story was beginning, one of survival, trust, and the bond that could grow between two people brought together by fate and circumstance. Morning came slowly over the ranch. The first light of dawn spread across the hills, casting a soft glow on the dusty land. The rancher had been awake early, checking the fences and making sure the animals were safe. Despite the calm morning, his mind kept returning to the woman who had arrived in distress the night before. He wondered about her journey, about the dangers she had faced, and about the courage it must have taken to arrive at his gate alone. Inside the house, the Apache woman stirred from a fitful sleep. The night had been uneasy for her. Every sound in the desert had kept her alert. Yet she felt a small sense of relief knowing that she was safe, at least for now. The warmth of the house and the smell of fresh coffee made her feel almost normal for the first time in days. She moved carefully, still cautious, but her eyes carried a glimmer of hope. The rancher noticed her coming into the kitchen and greeted her with a nod. "Morning." "Did you sleep well?" His voice was calm, friendly, and reassuring. She smiled faintly. "As well as I could," she said. "Thank you for letting me stay. I don't know what I would have done if I hadn't found this place." Her voice held gratitude, tinged with exhaustion but also determination. She knew she could not rely entirely on others. She had to find her own strength. The rancher poured coffee for both of them and sat across the table. "We need to talk," he said gently. "I want to understand what happened and what you're running from. You don't have to tell me everything at once, but I need to know enough to make sure you're safe." The woman nodded, taking a deep breath. "I will tell you," she said, "but you need to understand it's complicated. I was traveling with my family and we ran into trouble. People came after us. I don't know why they were after us exactly, but I had to get away. I had to survive." Her hands shook slightly as she spoke, betraying the tension she still carried inside. The rancher listened carefully, his eyes fixed on her. He could see the sincerity in her expression. "You did the right thing coming here," he said. "You're safe for now and we'll figure out what to do next, but we need to be cautious. Danger doesn't always wait, even during the day." She nodded again, feeling a strange comfort in his words. For the first time in days, she felt like she wasn't completely alone. She could see that the rancher was not only strong but wise, someone she could rely on. "I understand," she said. "I will follow your lead. I want to make sure I'm not putting anyone in danger." The rancher smiled faintly. "You're not. But I need to know that you can be ready if anything happens. The desert isn't forgiving, and neither is life out here." After breakfast, they stepped outside to check the animals. The rancher showed her how to feed the horses and cattle, how to make sure the water troughs were full, and how to move quietly across the property to avoid startling the animals. She listened carefully, learning quickly, her movements precise and deliberate. There was a natural intelligence in her actions, a sharpness that reminded the rancher of the need to stay alert at all times. As they worked, the woman began to tell small fragments of her story. She spoke of the journey she had taken, of the desert's harshness, of the nights spent hiding and moving quietly to avoid danger. Her words painted a picture of resilience, courage, and determination. The rancher was impressed. She had faced so much and yet had not given up. The morning passed quietly, but there was always an underlying tension. Both of them were aware that danger could appear at any moment. Even as they laughed softly over small jokes, their eyes scanned the horizon. The wind carried sounds from far away, and every movement of the animals reminded them of the fragility of safety. After a while, they sat under a large tree, taking a break. The woman looked at the rancher, her eyes filled with curiosity. "Why do you live out here so far from everyone?" she asked. The rancher thought for a moment. "I like the quiet, I like the freedom, but it's also about responsibility. This land, these animals, they depend on me. It's not always easy, but it's worth it. And it teaches you to be ready for anything." His voice was calm, but there was a hint of pride in his tone. She nodded, understanding. "I've had to learn the same lesson. Life can be harsh, but it teaches you to survive, to keep moving, even when it's difficult." Her words carried a quiet wisdom, shaped by her experiences. The rancher felt a growing respect for her strength. As the day went on, they continued to work together, sharing tasks and learning from each other. The woman proved herself capable, handling the animals with care, understanding the land, and following instructions carefully. The rancher noticed her quick thinking and her ability to stay calm under pressure. He realized that she was more than just someone in need. She was resourceful, strong, and smart. By mid-afternoon, the sun was high and hot. They stopped for water and sat in the shade, watching the desert stretch endlessly around them. The woman's eyes scanned the horizon, always alert, yet there was a sense of relief in her posture. For the first time in days, she felt a small measure of safety. "I know I need to earn your trust," she said quietly. "I don't want to just be someone who depends on you. I want to contribute to help, to show that I'm capable." The rancher looked at her, impressed by her honesty and determination. "You already are contributing," he said. "You're proving that you're strong and smart. That's worth more than words." They continued their work until the sun began to lower, painting the desert with warm colors. The animals were fed, the gates secured, and the ranch was safe for the night. Yet, despite the calm, there was always the awareness that danger could return at any time. As evening approached, the rancher and the woman sat on the porch, watching the sky turn orange and pink. The quiet was comforting, but it also allowed them to reflect on the events of the day. They shared small conversations about life, family, and the challenges they had faced. There was a growing sense of understanding and mutual respect between them. The woman spoke softly, almost to herself. I never thought I would find someone willing to help me, not just out of duty, but out of care." The rancher turned to her, his expression calm and reassuring. "Sometimes people find each other in the most unexpected ways. You're not alone anymore." There was a pause, a quiet moment where both of them seemed to understand that trust and respect were beginning to form. It was a bond shaped by circumstance, courage, and honesty. They did not need words to acknowledge it. Actions and shared experiences spoke louder than anything. Night fell again, and the desert came alive with sounds of nocturnal animals and the whisper of the wind. The rancher checked the gates and the animals one last time before settling inside. The woman had prepared a small area for herself near the fireplace, and she sat quietly, reflecting on the day. She had survived the journey here, earned a measure of safety, and learned that trust could begin even in the harshest conditions. She thought about the rancher, about his calm strength and quiet wisdom. She felt a strange sense of connection, a recognition that they had been brought together by fate. It was not love yet, nor did it need to be. It was something simpler, something fundamental, a shared understanding of survival, trust, and human decency. The rancher watched her from a distance for a moment, noting the way she moved, the careful attention she gave to her surroundings. He admired her courage, her resilience, and her determination to face challenges head-on. There was a growing sense of respect, and perhaps the beginning of something deeper, though neither of them needed to name it yet. Before sleep, the woman spoke quietly. "Thank you for everything today. I will do my best to prove that I belong here, that I can help, that I can be trusted." The rancher nodded. "I know you will. Tomorrow is another day, and we'll face it together." The desert night was calm, the stars shining brightly above. Inside the ranch, two people sat quietly, each aware of the fragility of safety, the value of trust, and the beginning of a bond formed under extraordinary circumstances. Though the journey ahead was uncertain, they had found a moment of understanding and hope. And in that understanding, they both found the strength to face whatever tomorrow would bring. The next morning, the sun rose slowly, painting the desert in shades of gold and pink. The rancher was awake early as usual, walking along the fence lines, inspecting the animals and checking the gates. The quiet of the ranch gave him a sense of control, but he knew that calm could be broken at any moment. The events of the previous day weighed on his mind. The woman who had arrived at his gate was still here, safe for now, but he could not ignore the possibility that her troubles might follow her. Inside the house, the Apache woman had already begun her morning routine. She quietly gathered firewood, prepared breakfast, and checked the water for the animals. There was a sense of purpose in her movements, a careful precision that showed she was learning quickly how to handle life on the ranch. Though the morning seemed peaceful, there was an unspoken tension. Both she and the rancher were aware that danger could arrive at any moment, and both had a sense of readiness that had been sharpened by experience. As they worked together, she began to share more about her journey. "I had to leave quickly," she said, her voice calm but firm. "There was no time to plan. We were attacked near the canyon, and I ran. I couldn't protect everyone, but I had to survive. I had to find a safe place." The rancher listened carefully, his eyes steady. He admired her courage, the way she spoke about such dangerous moments without breaking down. "You made it here," he said, "and you're safe now, that's what matters." She looked at him, a flicker of relief passing across her face. "Yes, but I know that safety can change quickly. I need to be ready for anything. I need to trust myself, and I need to trust you." The rancher nodded. "We'll face whatever comes together," he said. His voice carried confidence, but there was also a subtle warning. "Out here, it's easy to feel safe, but you can't ever let your guard down completely." The day passed quietly, but the calm was deceptive. In the late afternoon, a distant sound carried across the desert, voices raised and angry. The rancher stiffened. "Stay inside," he told the woman, his tone firm. "It looks like trouble is nearby." She followed him without question, moving quickly but calmly into the house. Her hands trembled slightly, but her eyes were sharp, scanning the horizon through the window. "Do you think they found me?" she asked, her voice barely above a whisper. The rancher shook his head. "I don't know yet, but we need to be ready. Don't worry, we'll protect this place. You've proven you can help, so I need you to stay calm and follow instructions." She nodded, taking a deep breath to steady herself. She had faced fear before, and though it had been overwhelming at times, she had learned to focus, to act, and to survive. The rancher's calm presence gave her strength, and she felt a small measure of confidence returning. The voices grew louder, and shadows began to appear on the horizon. Figures moved through the desert, approaching the ranch gates. The rancher stepped outside to get a better view, motioning for the woman to stay inside. He quickly assessed the situation. These were not ordinary travelers. They were aggressive, determined, and searching for someone. His instincts told him that they were after her. He returned inside, his face calm but serious. "They're coming closer," he said. "We need a plan. Stay close to me and follow my lead." The woman nodded, her hands gripping the edge of the table. "I'm ready," she said. "I'll do whatever you need me to do." As the pursuers reached the edge of the property, the rancher prepared himself. He knew he could handle them physically, but he also knew that strategy and quick thinking would be essential. The woman stood beside him, watching carefully. He could see the determination in her eyes, the willingness to help and act if necessary. It gave him confidence to know that she was not just a bystander, she was ready to face the danger with him. The first figure appeared at the gate, and the rancher stepped forward. His presence was firm, commanding, and unyielding. "This is private property," he called out. "Leave now, or I will take action." The figures hesitated, assessing him. They were not used to meeting resistance, especially from someone who seemed capable and confident. The rancher held his ground, his posture steady, his gaze unwavering. Inside, the woman prepared herself mentally. She did not know exactly what would happen next, but she trusted the rancher's lead. She positioned herself where she could assist if needed, her mind alert, her senses sharp. She had faced fear before, and she knew that panic would only make things worse. The confrontation lasted only a few tense moments. The pursuers tested the rancher, trying to intimidate him, but he stood firm. His experience and calm presence made it clear that he was not to be underestimated. He spoke with authority, repeating his warning, "Leave now. This is your only chance." The figures looked at each other, uncertainty flickering in their expressions. They had expected an easy target, someone weak or afraid. Instead, they found a man prepared, confident, and willing to protect what was his. Slowly, they began to back away, realizing that continuing would not achieve their goal. The rancher watched them retreat, ensuring that they left the property. Only when he was certain that the danger had passed did he turn back toward the house. The woman's eyes met his, filled with relief and admiration. "You handled that very well," she said quietly. He nodded, a small smile appearing. "We handled it together," he said. "You stayed calm, followed instructions, and kept your focus. That helped." For the first time since she arrived, the woman allowed herself to relax fully. She had been frightened, unsure, and tense, but the confrontation had shown her that she could trust the rancher and herself. She had faced danger, survived, and contributed to protecting the place that had given her shelter. As the evening settled in, they worked together to secure the ranch for the night. Gates were checked, animals were calmed, and the property was made safe. The woman moved with quiet efficiency, her actions confident and deliberate. The rancher watched her, noting the strength and resilience she displayed. He realized that she was not just someone he had helped. She was becoming a trusted companion, capable of handling the challenges of life on the ranch. After the chores were complete, they sat on the porch, watching the desert sky turn dark and filled with stars. The woman spoke softly, her voice carrying both gratitude and reflection. "I never thought I would find someone willing to help me, not just because it was the right thing to do, but because they cared. I feel safe here." The rancher looked at her, his expression calm and steady. "You are safe," he said, "and I'm glad you stayed. We'll face whatever comes next together. That's what matters." There was a moment of quiet understanding between them. No words were needed to express the trust and bond forming between them. They had faced danger together, relied on each other, and come out stronger. It was a connection built on shared experiences, courage, and respect. As the night deepened, they went inside to rest. The woman settled into her small area near the fireplace, feeling a sense of safety she had not known in a long time. The rancher checked the doors and windows, ensuring everything was secure. He paused for a moment, thinking about the day's events and the trust that had begun to form. There was a quiet satisfaction in knowing that they had both survived the confrontation and that their bond had grown stronger. Before sleep, the woman spoke quietly. "I will do my best," she said. "I will be ready for anything. I want to prove that I can contribute, that I can help, and that I can be trusted." The rancher nodded, feeling a sense of pride and respect. "I know you will. We've seen today what you're capable of." Tomorrow will bring new challenges, but we'll face them together. Outside, the desert wind whispered through the hills, carrying with it the sounds of nocturnal creatures. The ranch, now calm and quiet, felt like a small haven amid the vast, harsh land. Inside, two people had learned to trust one another, to rely on each other's strength, and to face danger together. The confrontation had been a test, not just of skill and courage, but of character and resolve. Both the rancher and the woman had proven themselves, and in doing so had strengthened the bond that was quietly growing between them. It was not yet love, nor did it need to be. It was a connection deeper than words, a connection built on survival, trust, and mutual respect. As they drifted into sleep, there was a sense of calm, tempered by the knowledge that life in the desert was unpredictable. But for now, they had each other. They had survived together, faced danger, and come out stronger. And in that survival, they had found something rare and precious, a bond that would guide them through the challenges yet to come. The next morning, the desert greeted the ranch with a golden light that made the hills glow softly. The air was warm but carried a fresh breeze that rustled through the trees. The rancher was up early, as always, moving along the fence lines, checking on the animals, and making sure everything was secure. His mind, however, was not just on the ranch today. It lingered on the woman who had stayed with him for several days. She had proven herself capable, calm, and courageous, and he felt a deep respect for her resilience. Inside the house, the Apache woman was already busy. She had settled into a morning routine, feeding the animals, checking water supplies, and preparing breakfast. The ranch had become a place where she could think clearly, plan carefully, and feel a sense of purpose. Each day she spent there gave her more confidence in herself and in the life she was building away from the dangers that had chased her. The rancher came inside after finishing his rounds. "Morning," he said, his voice calm but warm. "Everything seems in order." "How are you feeling today?" She looked up and smiled faintly. "Better," she said. "I feel stronger, more focused. I know that if anything comes again, we can handle it." Her words carried determination, and he could see the truth in them. She had grown in just a few days, learning quickly, adapting to life on the ranch, and becoming a partner in maintaining safety. After breakfast, they stepped outside together. The rancher began showing her more details about the ranch, how to check the fences carefully for weak spots, how to care for the horses when they were injured or sick, and how to manage the smaller animals during storms. She watched and learned, asking questions, trying to understand every detail. Her eyes were bright with curiosity and focus, and he noticed how quickly she picked up the lessons he gave. "You're learning fast," he said. "Not many people could manage all of this so quickly." She shrugged lightly. "I've had to learn quickly before. Life hasn't always been easy, and you learn fast when you have no choice. I want to be ready for whatever comes." He smiled faintly, impressed by her words. She had a quiet strength that was hard to describe, a resilience that showed itself in both small actions and her calm confidence. It was not only about surviving danger, it was about facing challenges with thought, care, and courage. The day passed with work and quiet conversation. They repaired fences together, checked the animals, and organized the barn. In the process, they shared stories about the land, about family, about experiences that had shaped them. The rancher learned more about her background, the struggles she had faced as an Apache woman, the long journey she had endured, and the determination that had brought her here. He found himself admiring her honesty, her ability to speak of hard times without bitterness, and the way she carried herself with dignity despite all the hardships. As the sun began to sink low in the sky, painting the desert in warm oranges and purples, they paused to rest under the shade of the large tree near the house. The woman looked out across the land, thoughtful and quiet. "This place, it feels safe," she said softly. "I never thought I would feel that way again. After everything, I thought fear would always follow me." The rancher nodded, understanding her feelings. "Fear doesn't disappear completely," he said gently, "but trust, courage, and preparation make it manageable. You've learned to face challenges, and now you have a safe place to use that strength." She looked at him, gratitude and admiration shining in her eyes. "I'm glad I found this place and that I met you," she said quietly. There was no rush, no expectation, only honesty and sincerity. He met her gaze steadily, sensing the connection forming between them. It was not a sudden or intense feeling, but something slower, deeper, and more meaningful. The rancher spoke with calm conviction. You've proven yourself, you've stayed calm in danger, helped protect this ranch, and shown courage beyond what most people could. You belong here." A faint smile appeared on her face. "I hope so. I want to belong. I want to be helpful, to contribute, and to keep this place safe with you." The evening passed in quiet companionship. They tended the animals, checked gates and fences, and shared a simple meal together. The ranch felt alive with movement, purpose, and the calm sense of order that came from shared effort. It was not excitement or drama. It was the steady rhythm of life, the satisfaction of knowing that each task, each moment was meaningful. As night fell, they sat together on the porch, looking out at the star-filled sky. The desert stretched endlessly before them, dark and silent, yet beautiful in its stillness. The wind carried the faint sound of distant animals, and the night was alive with life in subtle ways. The woman spoke softly, her voice thoughtful. "I never imagined I could find a place like this, a place where I feel safe, where I can rest, and where I can trust someone fully." The rancher looked at her, a quiet pride and admiration in his expression. "It's rare to find trust like that. You've earned it not just by being here, but by showing courage, intelligence, and respect. That's why you're safe, and that's why you belong here." There was a quiet moment of understanding between them, a shared recognition of the bond that had grown over the past days. It was not rushed or forced. It was natural, built from shared experiences, challenges, and the understanding that each of them had proven themselves capable, reliable, and strong. The woman's eyes softened. "I want to stay here," she said. "Not just for safety, but because I feel like this is where I am meant to be. I can help and I can learn more. I can face the world here with you." The rancher nodded, feeling a sense of satisfaction and calm. "Then you will stay," he said. "And we'll continue to work together, face challenges together, and keep this ranch safe. You've proven that you can do it, and I trust you." The night passed quietly. The ranch was peaceful, and the two of them slept with the comfort of knowing that they were safe, prepared, and united in purpose. In the quiet of the desert night, there was no fear, only trust and respect. The following days were filled with routine, learning, and continued cooperation. The woman grew stronger in her skills, more confident in her movements, and more familiar with the rhythm of ranch life. The rancher continued to teach her, guide her, and share his knowledge of the land. They faced small challenges, unexpected weather, the care of a sick animal, or repairs that needed immediate attention, but together they managed everything efficiently and calmly. Through these daily experiences, the bond between them deepened. There was mutual respect, growing trust, and the quiet understanding that they were stronger together. The rancher admired her courage and determination. She admired his calm strength and steady wisdom. Their connection was built on shared responsibility, the care of the land and animals, and the lessons learned from facing fear and uncertainty together. One evening, as the sun set again over the desert, the woman looked at the rancher with quiet admiration. "I've learned so much in just a few days," she said. "Not just about the ranch, but about myself. I feel stronger, braver, and more capable than I have in a long time." The rancher smiled. "You've always had that strength," he said. "You just needed a safe place to show it and a chance to trust yourself. You've earned your place here every day with every action." The woman's eyes reflected gratitude, respect, and a quiet warmth. "Thank you for giving me that chance," she said softly. "I will continue to do my best every day. I want to keep this place safe, to help, and to be someone you can trust completely." The rancher nodded, feeling a sense of pride and contentment. "I already trust you. And I know that together we can handle anything that comes our way." As night fell, the stars twinkling above, the desert seemed calm and peaceful. The ranch, with its animals, fields, and fences, was secure. Inside, the rancher and the woman sat quietly, enjoying the comfort of companionship, trust, and shared purpose. There was no rush, no urgency, only the steady, quiet knowledge that they were stronger together, ready to face whatever challenges life might bring. In the days that followed, the woman continued to grow in confidence, skill, and understanding. She became an integral part of ranch life, her presence natural and comforting. The rancher found reassurance in her abilities, her determination, and the quiet loyalty she showed every day. Together, they maintained the ranch, cared for the animals, and ensured that the land remained safe and productive. Over time, a sense of calm and stability settled over the ranch. The woman no longer felt the fear that had driven her to the gates in the first place. She felt safe, respected, and valued. The rancher felt a sense of fulfillment, knowing that he had helped someone in need, guided them through danger, and found a trusted companion in the process. They did not need to speak of the past dangers constantly. The experiences they had shared, the challenges they had faced, and the trust they had built were enough. Together, they had created a life marked by respect, cooperation, and the quiet satisfaction of facing challenges together. And so, in the vast, beautiful desert, the ranch became a place of safety, learning, and growth. Two people brought together by circumstance and fate had found not only refuge but trust, respect, and a shared purpose that would guide them for the days and years ahead. They had faced danger, uncertainty, and fear, and in doing so had discovered the strength of partnership, the value of courage, and the quiet, enduring power of trust.